19. He entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd he could not, because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, "He has gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner."
The Jerrycans, they used to call me short changer because of my height and my work. Oh yes, very witty. But it were better than spitting and cursing. I were not popular, but I told myself that were an occupational hazard. Don't collect tolls from traders. There are Roman overlords if you want to have friends. The merchant classes, see, they are obsessed with the bottom line. Joe Public, well, Joe Public hates anything that inflates the prices. Jericho had the biggest market for miles around, but it was also transport hub for goods shipping on elsewhere. We even tax the camel's fleas. Overcharging and taking your cut, that was standard practice. My years in imperial Rome's customs and excise had proved a nice little earner. I'd fancy clothes, big house in a good area, even servants. The downside was I were a social pariah. I were practically middle-aged back then, orphaned, unwed. Nobody wanted some vertically challenged collaborator and crook. Hardly anyone spoke to me, not even my own sisters. So, well, I kept myself to myself. It were a bit lonely. But at least I were comfortable, unlike most others. Skimming a few denarii off the top were the norm. Call it commission. We civil servants were untouchable. Then one morning I was supervising down at the customs post and I heard traders moaning about that holy pest Jesus and his God botherers passing through, heading for Jerusalem. Oh, the narrow streets were challenging enough with a string of pack animals. Any added congestion would be hideous, so they were desperate to get through before he arrives. Express checkout, sir. That'll be another 2%. Funnily enough, I'd heard of this Jesus. I'd given up on our unfriendly synagogue, so holy men were not exactly my thing. But this bloke, he had quite the reputation. If you hear someone can work miracles, it fuels your curiosity. No way I were missing him. But I stood no chance at all in a crowd. Who'd make way for me up front? So, leaving Matt in charge, I took the back doubles down to the main square. People were gathering already. "Oi, you, shorty, clear off!" some oil merchant yells. Out of nowhere, some rotten tomato comes skimming past me left ear, spattering the pavement behind me. There were a murmur of disapproval. The excited locals were all vying for the best spot, so trying to avoid attention, I ducks down under a tree, wondering, could I still climb that? As a nipper, I were agile as a monkey, but that tree had grown. I hadn't. Clambering onto a nearby wall, I managed somehow to haul myself up it. I could see perfectly and not be seen. Jesus looked remarkably ordinary ambling down the street. Didn't even know which one he was at first. But drawing level with my tree, he suddenly swerves aside, stares up into the canopy, shouting over people's heads. "Come on down, Zacchaeus. I'd like to stay at your house." I almost fell. How could he know my name, let alone see me? Flustered, I dropped down quick as I could among the crowd, who began groaning and making faces, bad-mouthing me. Oh, they parted resentfully enough to let me through. Jesus holds out his hand and smiles. Well, I can't remember the last time anyone done that to me. Did he really? Did he really come to my place? It was like some out-of-body experience. I watched him as he surveyed it thoughtfully. My grand entrance hall suddenly looked different. Every piece of furniture, rug or standard lamp somehow seemed to carry a price tag bearing the names of the traders whose surcharge had paid for them. The food and the fine wine the servants brought in, they looked like ill-gotten gains and all. Jesus said nothing, but I felt hot and uncomfortable, deeply ashamed. I'd never seen the mark-up as dishonesty, more a legitimate perk. He reminded me, though, I was still Abraham's descendant. My mind is hurriedly groping for commandments I've most probably broken. You shall not steal. Jesus says, I know you love God deep down, Zacchaeus. How about loving your neighbour like yourself? He said his main aim were to save the lost. All of a sudden, my mouth is making promises without my brain's permission. Pay people back fourfold? What? And inexplicably, I felt as light as air. A little short you may be, Zac, Jesus said, but it's never too late for you to change. It's not at all unusual for people in authority to succumb to temptations they face daily. Before they know where they are, occasional lapses become ingrained and pervasive habits, bad habits. Miscreants gradually grow desensitised to the harm they do and how they're abusing the trust placed in them. The customs officer's dodgy dealings had given him a certain security, but no lasting joy. Underneath it all, he must have known he was just getting rich at other people's expense and breaking God's ancient and explicit instructions. Pride and self-reliance had insidiously come between him and a God who only ever wanted the best for him, as for all his human children. Sliding into dishonesty and nonchalantly harming others thanks to the lure of unnecessary wealth had alienated Zacchaeus from his own. He'd become a social outcast and probably hadn't even tried to work out how to break the cycle or find his way back. Until, that is, his unusual encounter with Jesus. Like his father, when faced with Adam and Eve's fall from grace, Jesus could see straight to the heart of the matter, even through Zacchaeus' leafy hide. But instead of publicly shaming him and denouncing him into repentance, he gave him a personal opportunity to see things differently and make amends. He also gave the crowd, could they but see it, an unexpected glimpse of God's patience and his deep desire to heal and restore, even though they would have preferred to see the short changer punished.